If I can't run, I'll walk. If I can't walk, I'll crawl. But I won't stop.
You may be shocked after watching this video. In a recently released documentary, Celine Dion courageously reveals her hidden health battles, which have remained unknown until now. The footage shows Dion in a vulnerable state as she tearfully recounts how these agonizing episodes have deeply affected her life and career. This raw and honest portrayal not only showcases her resilience, but also sheds light on the harsh realities of living with such a crippling condition. Witness the most authentic moments of the suffering she has endured. In the emotionally charged scenes from the upcoming documentary I Am, Celine Dion, the celebrated Canadian singer is portrayed as never before, vulnerable, distressed, and in the throes of a relentless battle against stiff person syndrome, SPS. The documentary, slated for release on Amazon Prime, offers an unfiltered look at Dion's daily struggle with this rare and devastating neurological disorder. The footage reveals a side of Dion that fans have never seen, flushed, tearful, and wailing in pain as she endures a harrowing 10-minute seizure. The scene is agonizing to watch, as the once vibrant performer, known for her powerful voice and commanding stage presence, is reduced to a state of helplessness. The camera captures every excruciating moment as Dion gasps for breath, her body racked by uncontrollable muscle spasms, while medical professionals work frantically to alleviate her suffering. In these moments, Dion's distress is palpable. The seizure, a stark reminder of the severity of SPS, leaves her unable to control her own body. A terrifying experience for anyone, let alone someone who has spent her life in control of her voice and movements. As the seizure intensifies, a medicinal nasal spray is administered, a common treatment for cluster seizures in SPS sufferers. The spray, designed to provide rapid relief, is one of the many measures Dion relies on to manage the symptoms of her condition. Dion's journey with SPS began in 2022, when she was diagnosed with the disorder. SPS is an autoimmune neurological condition that affects only about 1 in a million people. It is characterized by severe muscle stiffness and painful spasms, which can be triggered by various factors, including stress, noise, and physical touch. The disorder can severely impair mobility, and in Dion's case, it has had a profound impact on her ability to perform and live her life as she once did. The documentary does not shy away from the brutal reality of living with SPS. Instead, it provides an intimate, raw portrayal of Dion's day-to-day life as she grapples with the condition. Viewers will see her at her most vulnerable, struggling to come to terms with the limitations imposed by SPS, yet still striving to maintain some semblance of normalcy. The clip shared ahead of the documentary's release on June 25th offers a raw and intimate portrayal of Dion during one of her most vulnerable moments, captured in the midst of a medical crisis. The scene unfolds during a consultation with her medical team, where Dion's body, gripped by the agonizing effects of SPS, enters what she refers to as a crisis. Her once dynamic and graceful presence is replaced by a helplessness that is difficult to watch, yet impossible to turn away from. As the episode escalates, her doctors, who are familiar with the unpredictable nature of her condition, move swiftly and calmly to assist her. They gently lay her in a comfortable position, working to ease her suffering while checking her vitals to ensure her safety. Throughout this ordeal, Dion's bare feet remain rigid, a stark visual testament to the muscle stiffness and spasms characteristic of SPS. It is a painful and distressing image, one that highlights the cruel irony of a performer whose life was once defined by movement and control, now fighting to maintain even the slightest physical autonomy. The camera captures the tension in the room, where the concern of the medical team contrasts with Dion's quiet internal struggle. After what seems like an eternity, the crisis subsides. Dion, with the help of her caregivers, manages to sit upright. In a small but significant act of self-comfort, she wraps herself in a blanket, as if trying to shield herself from the emotional and physical exposure she has just endured. The blanket serves as a metaphorical and literal layer of protection in a moment of deep vulnerability. It is here, as she gathers herself, that Dion's emotional response to the incident is laid bare. Struggling to find the words, she admits to the cameras that each time something like this happens, she is overwhelmed by feelings of embarrassment and frustration. Every time something like this happens, it makes you feel so embarrassed and so, I don't know how to express it, she says, her voice breaking. It's just, like to not have control of yourself. Her words resonate with anyone who has ever faced a debilitating illness, capturing the deep sense of loss and vulnerability that comes with losing control over one's own body. In a society that often idolizes celebrities as larger-than-life figures, immune to the struggles of ordinary people, Dion's candid admission is a powerful reminder of the fragility of the human experience. The strength she displays in allowing this deeply personal moment to be shared with the world is a testament to her courage and her desire to raise awareness about SPS and the challenges it brings. Yet, even in this moment of despair, Dion's indomitable spirit shines through. As the conversation shifts, she becomes emotional, not out of self-pity, but from a place of determination and hope. Despite the immense challenges she faces, Dion reveals that she has not given up on her dream of returning to the stage. "I still see myself dancing and singing," she says, her voice filled with a mixture of longing and resolve. "I always find plan B and plan C, That's me. If I can't run, I'll walk. If I can't walk, I'll crawl. But I won't stop. I won't stop." In a moment that tested both the emotional and professional instincts of filmmaker Irene Taylor, she was confronted with an unexpected crisis during the filming of I Am, Celine Dion, a documentary chronicling the life of the iconic singer as she battles stiff person syndrome, SPS. The event unfolded rapidly, leaving Taylor to make a critical decision in real time, whether to continue filming as Dion was suddenly gripped by a severe attack of her debilitating condition, or to intervene. As Taylor recounted to the PA news agency, the attack happened very quickly, catching everyone in the room off guard. Dion, known worldwide for her powerful voice and commanding stage presence, was in the midst of what was supposed to be a routine consultation when her body was suddenly overwhelmed by the uncontrollable spasms characteristic of SPS. Taylor, who was operating the sound equipment at the time, was struck by the urgency of the situation. In those first tense 30 seconds, her instinct was not immediately to continue filming, but rather to process the gravity of what was unfolding before her. Taylor's hesitation was natural. After all, she was not just a filmmaker at that moment, but a human being witnessing someone she had come to know personally endure intense physical suffering. However, Taylor also recalled the clear directive Dion had given her before the filming began, not to ask permission to film something. This instruction was emblematic of Dion's commitment to authenticity and her desire for the documentary to capture the unvarnished truth of her life with SPS, no matter how difficult or painful that truth might be. With this in mind, Taylor made the decision to continue filming. It was a choice that weighed heavily on her, as she balanced the ethical considerations of documenting such a vulnerable moment with the understanding that this was part of the story Dion wanted to tell. Taylor explained, "So in that first 30 seconds, I was not focused on filming. I was the sound person, and my cinematographer was there. But there were several people in the room, and everyone was doing what they were trained to do to help her. The room was filled with professionals who had been specifically trained to respond to such crises. They immediately sprang into action, ensuring that Dion received the care she needed. Taylor, observing their calm and coordinated response, knew that the singer was in capable hands. She was prepared, however, to put down her equipment and assist if the situation called for it. If they needed an extra pair of hands, I would have dropped my microphone and gotten in to help them without a doubt, she noted, underscoring her readiness to prioritize Dion's well-being over the documentary. The decision to keep filming was not taken lightly. Taylor was acutely aware that the footage she was capturing might never be used, depending on how Dion and her team felt about it afterward. The priority was always the safety and comfort of the singer. Yet the filmmaker also recognized the importance of documenting the reality of what living with SPS entails, something that could only be truly understood by witnessing these deeply challenging moments. In continuing to film, Taylor honored Dion's wish for an honest portrayal of her life, one that did not shy away from the painful realities she faced. The scene, if included in the final cut, would serve as a stark and powerful illustration of the toll SPS takes on Dion, providing viewers with a raw and intimate understanding of her condition. It would also highlight the courage it took for Dion to allow such moments to be recorded, knowing that they would reveal her at her most vulnerable. Taylor, reflecting on the moment, recalled that Dion had made it clear from the outset that she wanted the raw reality of her condition to be documented. "We can always talk about it later if I'm uncomfortable with it," Dion had told Taylor, giving the director the freedom to capture even the most difficult moments without the need for immediate permission. This level of trust between the subject and the filmmaker was crucial in allowing Taylor to film such a deeply personal and painful event. The scene itself is both powerful and painful to watch. As Dion is overcome by the spasm, the camera remains focused, capturing the full extent of the physical and emotional toll that SPS takes on her. Yet, after the episode, something remarkable happened. Instead of retreating into despair, Dion sang, a beautiful and poignant performance that seemed to defy the pain she had just endured. This moment of resilience was not lost on Taylor, who noted that Dion left the location in surprisingly high spirits, a stark contrast to the suffering she had just experienced. As Dion was about to leave, she did something that deeply touched Taylor. She reached out of the car window, squeezed the director's hand, and reassured her, saying, "Don't worry about what happened." This gesture was more than just a reassurance. It was a signal that Dion was at peace with the footage that had been captured, despite not fully knowing what it would look like. She was only semi-conscious, Taylor reflected, noting that Dion hadn't been fully aware of how she looked during the spasm, yet still trusted the director's judgment to include it in the film. For Taylor, this moment was profoundly moving. She realized that Dion, even after enduring such a distressing experience, was thinking more about the well-being of those around her than about herself. "She was actually taking care of me," Taylor observed, highlighting Dion's remarkable capacity for empathy, even in the most challenging of circumstances. This small but significant act of kindness left a lasting impression on Taylor, who was grappling with her own emotions after witnessing such a powerful moment. When it came time to edit the documentary, Taylor was mindful of Dion's words and the trust that had been placed in her. She made the decision to include the scene as it was, without altering or sanitizing it. "What you see in this final film is exactly what I showed her the first time," Taylor explained. Dion, true to her word, did not ask for any changes. She was committed to showing the world the unvarnished reality of her condition, believing that this honesty would not only help others understand SPS, but also offer solidarity to those facing similar battles. From the outset, Taylor was acutely aware of the profound responsibility that came with telling Dion's story, particularly given the intensely private nature of the singer's life. "I would have never shown it if she didn't want me to. That's just the honest truth. It's too personal," Taylor admitted, underscoring the ethical line she drew in the sand when it came to filming Dion during some of her most vulnerable moments. The scene in which Dion experiences a nearly 10-minute spasm, a stark and painful illustration of the toll SPS has taken on her, was included in the documentary only because of Dion's unwavering commitment to transparency. Throughout the filming process, Dion exhibited a remarkable level of trust in Taylor, never once asking how specific scenes were being edited or attempting to influence the narrative. "She never asked me how I was editing something," Taylor explained, highlighting the singer's willingness to let go of control and allow the film to take its own course. This relinquishing of control is particularly significant given the highly curated public image that many celebrities maintain. For decades, Dion has been a symbol of strength, grace, and unparalleled vocal talent, a narrative carefully constructed and preserved through her public appearances and performances. However, Taylor noted that Dion's decision to participate fully in the documentary and to give a lot of herself fundamentally shaped the direction of the film. "It's fair to say that she set the film on the course it took by wanting to give a lot of herself," Taylor observed. This choice to be candid about her condition and the struggles that come with it allowed Taylor to create a film that is not just a biography, but an intimate exploration of a woman confronting the loss of control over her body and, by extension, the carefully managed narrative that has defined her public life. Taylor reflected on the power of Dion's will, noting that it was this determination that made the documentary possible. "I couldn't have done it without her will. You know the will is very powerful," Taylor remarked. For a public figure like Dion, letting go of the narrative that has been constructed around her, often by others, is no small feat. Taylor pointed out that many public figures struggle with the loss of control over their image, as it becomes a force of its own. Yet Dion's willingness to step away from this carefully constructed image, to let the world see her as she is, vulnerable and struggling, is what makes I Am, Celine Dion, so powerful. The journey to this point began in January 2022, when Dion first hinted at her declining health by canceling the North American dates of her Courage World Tour. For a performer who has always been synonymous with boundless energy and tireless dedication to her fans, this cancellation was a significant red flag. By December of that year, Dion made the difficult decision to share her diagnosis with the world. In an emotional video posted to Instagram, she revealed that she had been diagnosed with stiff person syndrome, a rare neurological disorder affecting approximately 1 in a million people. SPS is a devastating condition that causes the muscles to tense uncontrollably, eventually leading to the body becoming rigid. Over time, sufferers can become human statues, unable to move, walk, or even talk, as the condition progressively locks their bodies into rigid positions. There is currently no cure for SPS, but treatments exist that can slow the progression of the disease. Dion has been candid about the efforts she is making to manage her symptoms and maintain as much of her life as possible, though the challenges are immense. What do you think about the SPS disease that Celine Dion suffered? Leave us your comments in the section below. We hope you have found this helpful video. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you like it. Thank you for watching this, and see you in the next videos. Goodbye.